And you look back to the first half. What problems did Houston cause you guys? You think?
I think the I think the biggest challenge that we had in the first half was just getting pressure to the ball, and because I felt at times we weren't able to get clear pressure to the ball, we were getting separated. Our back lines at time was just dropping, and there was a few transition moments where that was the case as well, where we're just conceding. We're conceding ground in the back line, and then we are not really getting pressure in the front six, so to speak. And so there were some moments where we were getting separated, and I felt like they took advantage of those. One of those is the goal where, again, it's a foul, and we need to reconnect as a group. And as the ball gets placed, we've got the front six still hanging out a little bit high. The back group is ready to drop. They just chip the ball into a one-on-one situation and run at us. So. Again, I think it's between the back line and the front six, the back four, front six is making sure that we stay together and we move together. As the front six are moving to get pressure to the ball, we need to move with them as a back line and make sure that there was some connection there. And so I felt that became a game that now it's hotter than hell and super humid. You have to be extremely efficient as you work together as a group, and if you're chasing the ball for long stretches, it becomes taxing. And I felt like that was part of it for us. And then I felt like for the first, I don't know, I guess it was 20 minutes, they had their possessions, but we also had pretty long possessions where they had to defend low. We weren't trying any overly risky passes. We were forcing them to have to defend and work and get some numbers down underneath the ball. And then I felt at times we started to try some passes that, again, you don't need to in these conditions. You need to really force the opposition to have to defend for long stretches and use their legs and their energy chasing the ball around or stopping you from creating things and force them into low block positions. And I felt like we started to create just these little moments where we were getting separated as a group for different reasons, whether it was a long ball missed pass or some other missed pass or not getting pressure to the ball, the back line kind of dropping off, and it just becomes a taxing game physically. And I think the first half, it took a little bit of us inside of that. I mean, I think that's part of it. And then for us in those possessions, it's about being a little bit cleaner and tidy. I thought we got into some good positions in the first half at times, especially in the first half of the first half. We got into some dangerous positions in and around the box. We don't get clean shots off. We don't hit the target, things like that, where we got to try to do a little more in some of those situations.
Yeah, I think early on there was a chance for Harbor there. He had a pretty good looking shot there. When you get to halftime down 1-0, and then the task becomes greater when Garces gets the red card.
For sure.
What did you think on the play? And then this is like his third or fourth red card this season. Where's your trust level with him right now?
Yeah, I think. I think in the situation again, it becomes if we are able to press and get pressure to the ball, and our references are clear, then okay, it's one thing to press, but I think it's our recognition of moments, and we're not able to get pressure to the ball. We're not able to stop the play, and then we have to be able to adapt and recognize that, okay, there's a runner. We can't chase our guys forward. We need to, again, I have to look at it again, but this is what went through my head is there's a runner that's coming through. We have to break off of the guy that we're maybe paying attention to and stay together as a line and make sure that we keep our unit and our group together. And I feel like we get caught, and this is sometimes the case that it happens with Amira, we get caught sort of chasing individuals instead of reading the play and recognizing the situation and knowing and recognizing when to break away from, say, an assignment to make sure that we stay together and we keep our unit together. So I'd have to see it again, but I feel like that's what gets us and gets him in problems sometimes, which is the adaptation inside of a moment instead of just being very fixed on one solution in a certain situation. And so obviously his recovery, I didn't feel like he gets him a whole lot, but I whenever you get yourself in that situation, it becomes difficult to have a debate about it. But for me, we brought him in the second half because we wanted to be able to try to keep our lines a little bit tighter together. And if we had a rotation to the left side, I wanted him to be able to get out and defend wide. But when the ball was through the middle, we needed to stay together as a group, and I felt like we got caught kind of moving when the ball was still central.
All right, thank you.
All right, next, go Josh.
Hey, Greg, thanks for talking to us. Appreciate it. The follow-up on Damien is Amiro just unlucky in these situations? I mean, it is 3 or 4 times this year that you guys have had to play down a man because of either plays that were in his area and situations that he didn't handle well, or is he just getting unlucky in some of the stuff?
Yeah, I don't know. I have a hard time with unlucky. I'd have to see the plate again to say, but sometimes it's, you think back to New York City and a player kind of runs off of his backside, and if you're aware of that situation and you see it and you know that guy's coming, maybe communication across the line would be helpful. But then you drop off and you pick up the run instead of being fixed on ball watch, identifying the ball or looking at the ball and maybe a reference on your side, seeing the whole picture to be able to make a decision. For me, sometimes isn't luck. It's more, again, just a broader awareness and to be able to see all the circumstances and make the correct decision. So I don't know enough. I have to see tonight back to see if it was something he should have done better. Is it something as a line we needed to do better? But he often ends up in situations. Some of it's his recognition, and some of it could be just our collective group recognizing the situation and doing a better job to deal with it. So it's hard to say without knowing exactly. But it's definitely things we've talked about with him is being able to read the situation as it evolves inside of the game and being able to adapt accordingly.
And then you talked about Yoshida coming off at halftime. That wasn't injury. That was tactical for you.
It was an injury. I felt like in the first half we were getting separated back to front and we weren't getting our lineup. And the biggest issue at times for us was being able to rotate around to where Anali was and where that left side, and being able to rotate around and deal with that. And it's not really Maya's strength that if we were to release John to get a little higher, for Maya to have to defend in a wide position against a player like Inali or a player who is fast. So we wanted Amiro in case we had to start to extend ourselves to get a little bit more pressure, and then we had to defend. The center back had to get wide at times, and so it became more tactical. It wasn't anything other than that.
And sorry, just one more. Royce is out, and then any update on Winder?
His ankle doesn't look good, so don't know anything more than he's walking gingerly, but the ankle is pretty swollen. So I don't know much more. Royce is more family and situation as to why he's not with us tonight.
Perfect. Thank you.
We'll continue with Sophie.
Thank you. Thanks for your time, Greg. You seem, losing is never pleasant. You seem extra, maybe, would I say, not on edge, but do you feel like the team didn't really put themselves out there? If I can be honest, it felt like Glesnes was the only player trying to ask a lot of questions out there today. Is that fair or foul?
Yeah, I think I don't know if I would say he was the only. I felt like there was a fair amount of indecision at times, combined with conditions that for some guys are new and maybe a little bit different. I think Kyōgo, I'm sure he's not played in a game with this type of humidity and heat, and trying to again manage through being the guy who's leading our pressure at times, trying to manage through some of that, again dealing with the situation, getting Robert back up to full fitness. So I think there's a combination of things. I think when we've played the midfield of Justin, Elijah, and Lucas, I don't think we get a lot of communication and direction from inside of the midfield to guys around them. I think they're sometimes younger players who are trying to do things, but not necessarily always doing things the most efficient and communicating through it. And you have a team that is very good in possession. They're very calculated, if we will, about how they move and change positions and rotate. And it's hard in Houston to be able to constantly get pressure on the ball to make things clear. And if you can't always get pressure because of the heat and the humidity, then you've got to be able to stay in a group and talk through the different rotations and the different guys that are showing up to different spaces. And I feel like sometimes we were inefficient because we weren't able to communicate clearly through some of these place-changing scenarios. And then I think guys look like they're not putting it because there's an indecisiveness or an indecision on whether they should step or not step instead of, again, talking through and working through it. I think that's for me, having been in the situation, a player in these situations, I think that's more of it than the willingness and desire and to work and to push through some of these things. It becomes, when you do the work, you want to do it and be efficient and have a good outcome in the work. Otherwise, you need to stay together. And I feel like there was parts of that inside of there. Do I feel like we could have won more duels and things like that? For sure. I think there's parts of that where we needed to show more personality to play in difficult conditions. And I think that's part of it when you come here is you have to be ready to suffer. And you have to be able to suffer together, and you have to be able to do it in as efficient and clear way as possible. And I felt like we had stretches, some things that hurt ourselves, and sometimes where they do things in a positive way, and good players.
Kyōgo was definitely making some good runs. How do you feel about Jonathan Bod not making one save? I don't know if I'm wrong about that, but I think that might be right, that he didn't make a save. What are your thoughts on that? Thanks for your time, Greg.
Yeah, again, not effective enough. Kyōgo makes good runs. We've seen it in training. But it becomes about our midfielders being able to face forward, being able to deliver passes at the right moments. It can't go from center back to Kyōgo making a run, fullbacks to Kyōgo making a run. We've got to be able to get in between the lines, have our midfielders facing forward and playing forward passes. It's been a little bit of a struggle for us for a year and a half now, is being able to play through and playing from inside out and playing through our midfield as the key cog in what we're trying to do. And so I think tonight it shows another one of those nights where you've got to be able to get into the middle of the opposition, play forward passes. Kyōgo makes great runs, but again, they can't be passes from the back line to the front line. They've got to be opportunities where we can get possession between the lines and then thread a pass to his good runs. For me, that's part of it. Again, it becomes the efficiency when we get into the final action. We got into some good early spots through the game, and I felt like we weren't efficient with those moments. Once we go down a man, it becomes much more challenging. Obviously, Joe gets in on a breakaway. It's probably the best chance in the second half for either team, is Joe getting in that one action. So it becomes more difficult in the second half down a man, that you're going to create many opportunities.
Thank you.
Let's wrap with Alex.
Hey, Greg, thank you for your time. I know there wasn't much time for Chucky, and maybe this isn't the ideal scenario to get him into the game, but just maybe any thoughts you had from his first appearance for the Galaxy?
Great. I mean, to be honest with you, I think he came in with a competitiveness. He was battling. He was getting in on them. I don't feel like all of those were fouls. I think he was competing and he was getting in. I felt like he was trying to find ways to take responsibility in certain plays to try to make things happen. But I feel like he came in to try to add to the game. And again, really tough conditions to play your first game in a lot of months, to come in and the temperature and the humidity and all that. But I felt like he came in to try to make an impact. He didn't just enter in. So for us, it's really positive that he was able to get 30-plus minutes in for today. That's going to help him as we build him through the course of the week. And hopefully as we get through this week, he'll be in a really good position to continue to move forward as we start to get guys in and healthy and everything else, and we start to get real depth and certain key parts to what I believe is going to be the group that will hopefully make a run with this team.
Yeah, and we probably won't get to talk to you until Wednesday, so I wanted to ask if maybe or when do you anticipate Sergi Roberto to start training and get here? Thank you.
Yeah, don't know exactly. The expectation is he'll be in this week. I don't know if it would be Tuesday or Wednesday, but hopefully it will be early in the week. So worst case scenario, he's a part of what we're doing in the latter part of the week. And I mean, he'll start training immediately. He's been doing the work that he needs to do there. He'll be ready to get involved and start getting minutes when he arrives. So I don't think there's a long process that we have to do to really get him ready. I don't know that he'll show up 90 minutes fit, but I think he'll show up ready to get involved into game action, and we'll just build up his soccer fitness as he arrives.